Um, I'm still going to provide the link so you could check it out after.
Okay.
But yeah, it should work now and you could try it.
Okay, let me try it again. It just said the meeting has not started when I tried, but let me try it one more time.
Gotcha.
929. Meeting ID 277-188.
Any luck?
It says the meeting has not started still.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I never dialed in the phone before, so I'm not necessarily sure. I know we're live on YouTube. Shout out to Queen Isis and Paula Cooperative. Um, I don't know if maybe it has to be recording.
Mm.
I'm not necessarily sure. That's a really good question. But it told you right now the meeting still hasn't started.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe there's something. No, this the live stream started. Let's try that real quick. All right, how about now?
Try again now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably so boring for anybody that's watching right now.
Shout out to Insight Coology and Third Eye Activated. Thank you guys for joining.
Despite our technical difficulties.
All right. Off the heels of Gemini season.
This could go along with the retrograde.
Right, and we're already kind of in this
Venus
period.
retrograde.
Shout out to
Okay,
Christian Q.
the meeting has not started. I guess I'll just use this computer audio.
Oh, the phone gave you the same message?
Yeah.
Interesting. That is so interesting. Okay. Um well, other than that, for those of you who are checking us out, welcome to another episode of Peace Talk. And yeah, today I have a really, really dope guest, or truly dope guest. Ty, thank you for joining us. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
thanks for letting me join you guys. This is exciting.
I love your background.
Thanks. It's basically like the ocean or something like that.
That's what's up. Actually, let me update really quick um the description box too with your website and
Okay,
everything.
cool.
But other than that, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I was pretty like I felt pretty bad when the moon was in Aries yesterday because my
Mm,
Saturn is there. So I
yeah.
always feel like really bad when it's in the last few degrees of Aries. But I feel pretty calm now that the moon's in Taurus today. Um, and I don't know, things seem to feel lighter now that it's Gemini season. I don't know about you, how you feel about that.
Oh my God. I mean it I'm glad you said that because I do kind of feel that too. Not I didn't really like focus on that, but now that you said that, I can report I felt so much lighter. Um
Mm.
and I felt my attitude shift considerably too, as far as like my MO and like what I'm ready to move forward with. So definitely grateful for that as well. I know you said your Saturn is in Aries,
Yeah.
so you're definitely born like past 95, right?
Yeah, I was born in 98. I'm 21.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Um
My
I
Saturn's 29 degrees.
Your Saturn's 29 degrees.
Yeah, retrograde.
Interesting. Saturn 29 degrees Aquarius. No,
At
no,
Aries.
no, no. In
Yeah.
Aries.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. Yeah, once again, all the people born after 95, especially the 2000s, I'm realizing more and more, but especially like 95, 96, all y'all with Uranus and Aquarius, like I'm realizing more so than ever, a lot of what I do is geared specifically for y'all. So it's just always great on, I mean, like everything I do is for everybody, right? Regardless of age, but like I'm very, very honored to serve y'all, because I really do have this vision of all of y'all born after the late 90s and then in the 2000s, all the vision we have of spirituality kind of being mainstream and normalized, and all this fighting we're doing to kind of like make this more understood. I really see your generation as accomplishing that, as not having to deal with as much obstacles, and really you know guiding and leading humanity forward. Uranus and Neptune in those areas gives y'all the peak of psychic power too, and cosmic channeling energy. So
Yeah.
actually, I'd actually love to pick your brain on that. What is it like to have Uranus and
You could
Aqua?
definitely ask me that because I have Uranus conjunct my moon exactly at 8 degrees.
So
So
for those who don't know, what are your sun, moon, and rising?
I'm a Scorpio sun and Aquarius moon and Aquarius rising. Um,
I
yeah.
know you gave your chart for reference, so if you
Yeah.
don't mind, I'll actually pull that up.
Sure. So my
Um,
moon is basically in the 12th house, and it's conjunct Uranus at 8 degrees, but it's like loosely conjunct Neptune at 29 degrees
wow.
in Capricorn.
And Venus is on your sun too. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Venus, Chiron, and Mercury all in Scorpio, which is amazing because
Yeah.
we're gonna bring up what you do, which is very fascinating.
Mhm.
But before we get into
I have
that,
so
like,
many tabs, like a true Gemini.
oh my god, yeah, I always like to like
Just
take one out so it looks like it's my least have, but you guys got me again. Like it was good. But yeah, like I'm so fascinated. Like my north node is 8 degrees Aqua. So I really normally when people reach out for me for peace talks, I kind of like to back off and not really, chill as much, but you're super cool. And then I found out after that, we're very much so aligned. Like a lot of what you do is literally tied to where I'm headed in life. And so
oh
yeah, as far as the North Node MC, so it's definitely
yeah,
beautiful to look up to. And it was dope too to connect with you earlier in the year too. But other than that, I see your North Nodes in Leo, which is
yeah.
awesome.
It's
Um
like almost exactly conjunct the DC.
yeah, so that's like being destined to partner with people and like
Yeah.
share your skills and talent.
Being so comfortable with being alone, being a hermit.
Right. And now you got to be in the spotlight,
Yeah.
which is literally the opposite of mine. Like we got to get off our South Node Leo thrones and like
Yeah, y'all. Yeah, but I really bond with people that have North Node or Saturn in Aquarius usually.
interesting. Yeah, Saturn Aquarius, I'm realizing is super amazing. But Jesus Christ, 29 degrees. So for those of you guys watching, really pay attention to everything that Tai says and to everything at the young age of 21 she's bringing in, because 29 degrees to a person's Saturn lets you know the authority they have in their life. Like what type of systematic change are they going to bring to humanity? What type of authority and power? So 29 degrees retrograde is like the peak of power. The reason why I'm so good at what I do is because I have a 29-degree Taurus Mercury. I'm like y'all messenger. Like I communicate this well. So, I respect deeply 29-degree planets, everything past 20. So seeing Saturn here, we're definitely looking at something innovative. I see you also have Jupiter opposite Virgo. I didn't have Jupiter.
Yeah, it's intercepted too.
Interesting. Yeah. So I like to use equal houses, equal sign system, just because of the interception. So technically, your second house would be 25 degrees Pisces, but we still also honor interceptions. It's just we kind of blend both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. Like you don't have any Pisces house or Virgo house, which could denote um a boundless magical ability that doesn't limit you. But once again, I'm a very, very, very huge believer in the equal sign system. So
Okay.
technically,
I'll
your
probably
second
have to
house,
open up my fixed house, my fixed sign mind to really.
technically every house would be like 25 degrees for you,
Yeah, wow. Okay.
which is very interesting. But like that doesn't make this Placidus any less accurate. You
Mhm.
just kind of like try and blend that because
Yeah. It's interesting because I have a twin sister and she was born before me. So her rising is probably 11 degrees and she doesn't have an interception in
no
the same
way.
in the same sign. She has a different one. Hers is she has fourth and fifth house cusps are Gemini.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, and the so she was born like 30 minutes or 20 minutes before you.
Yeah, 38.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. And would you say your personality, I mean, clearly you're going to be similar in some sense, but
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a stark difference in personality.
Oh, definitely. I mean, her moon is like almost conjunct her rising, and she's like way closer to our mom. And I'm like, I don't really feel that resonance with my mom.
Interesting. That is so, and like,
That's more outgoing too,
right.
more of a hermit.
And I mean, we do see more of a 12th house influence. Oh my God. Is that a 29-degree Neptune in
Yeah,
Capricorn? Just chilling in your 12th low key? You didn't even mention it. That's so amazing.
you must
Oh
have
my,
decided not to hear it.
oh my bad. I totally missed that. That's so Neptunian.
Yeah.
Damn. So I mean, you clearly got it going on. My bad. It's hard to put this in words, but like 29 degrees Saturn and Neptune is
Mhm.
such a huge deal.
Mhm.
Um, to me, that's literally the peak of psychic power. That's why I rave about 98 and beyond. 97, 98 are the only years that have Saturn at this peak level. So, and Neptune rather. So, that's like the most powerful intuition, the most psychic utilization. What's it like to have that, especially at your age?
Well, for me, I think having Saturn at 29 degrees, I've kind of, this is going to sound really cliche and cheesy, but of course, I've
Huh.
older than my age. Um, but also more than that, like externally, I'm really close to my grandma. And she's taught me a lot because she studies different holistic healing, mostly traditional shamanism. So she's kind of taught me a lot through that lineage and it runs in my
Wow.
blood. So that's what I would say about Saturn and 29 degrees.
Okay.
In terms of Neptune and 29 degrees, I dealt with a lot of depression when I was younger, starting when I was like probably 13. So I always kind of had to deal with that kind of like sensitivity and not feeling like I can separate other people from me. Um, yeah.
That's beautiful. But that last part you said it's hard to dissociate between how you feel and other people feel, or just between you and others in general.
More like growing up, more like, when before I came to like the work that I do now, craniosacral, because that's kind of helped me discern between my own self and other people.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm still a very sensitive being.
And I mean, that's the most amazing part about this. It's awakening now for the first time. If you're watching this and you're born after 95, your outer planets are finally coming into awakening, especially if you're born 97, 98. This year is going to see through Saturn and Jupiter finishing off of that, which is like finally freeing it from the conditioning and the psychic clutter in the 12th too, which is going to make you receptive to unconscious habits of everybody. I can imagine 12th house Neptune is picking up on a lot of unseen physical body language elements, but there's a supernatural quality to this that it's hard for me to put into words, anywhere from perhaps being able to like physically mind control people to like just really intuitively know without knowing certain things. So that's everything you're going to be able to define. That's I think the most amazing part about next year for you. 2020 is going to come through. 2021 is going to come through. Jupiter and Saturn go through your first house, and you really build this brand. as a craniosacral expert, which, now that you've mentioned that, what constitutes the work you do?
Um,
Which is really interesting.
okay, I'll tell you in a second, but also what you said really made me think of how Pluto's gonna like go through my 12th house and like destroy everything because it's gonna like conjunct my moon, and it's gonna like when it goes into Aquarius, it's gonna conjunct my moon, and it's gonna like square my sun and Venus and square my Saturn at the same time. So I'm
You're
basically
getting it all.
gonna get destroyed.
And
Um
like by the end of 2020, I think 2026, 2027, it just like it enters 0 degrees Aqua 2025, and it won't reach your moon till like 2029,
that's
2028.
scary.
But thankfully you'll get it over with, and
Yeah.
you'll come into this super radical 12th house awakening where you carry the Phoenix force and
Yeah.
probably have all these extra dimensional superpowers that
Yeah.
awaken. Which once again, like before you go into that, I forgot to ask, what is it like to have Uranus on your moon in Aqua?
Um that's a hard question to answer all at once.
It really is.
Um,
Yeah. And I can only imagine, I hate to interrupt, but
I
like,
know I know how to start.
oh,
Like
perfect.
basically I got into astrology probably at 14 or 15 when I was dealing with a lot of struggles. And it really helped me because um I could see the world with a framework that made sense. So like my moon, like my needs were being met by this Aquarian art craft of astrology, um,
Yeah.
which it's just like so immediate and electric once you start learning it. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's also hard for me to do like regular moon things. Like the idea of
Like
like
cry or be sad.
the idea. Oh, no, I'm very watery. I'm very watery.
Oh, you're still I forgot. You do have your son in Mercury.
I'm okay with feeling deep emotions, but when I think about having kids and like um set like regular family stuff, it's scary.
Interesting. Scary as in like terrifying, or scary as in like kind of disgusting too?
It just
You're
doesn't
like,
resonate with me. Like
okay.
because I don't feel like it really resonates with being able to take a wider picture view of the world and like
The nuclear family system, right?
yeah.
What you say is so fascinating to me because I'm currently 27 progressed Aqua Moon. So in 3 years I'll be done. And all throughout the Aqua Moon transit, it's been myself asking myself, do you want a family? Like it's kind of been re-questioning why I want a family, and like acknowledging that the only reason why I really want one is because I've been conditioned to believe that I have to have one. I've seen my parents have one, my grandparents have one, like I see this in television shows, everything that I consume in my environment. I live in apartments and houses with families. It's like I'm like conditioned to want to procreate and do this. So I really appreciate the Aquarius energy for that cosmic perception of looking at things objectively, and to see that you have that natally. I don't know if I sent you this in a reading, but one major function as an alien construct with Uranian vessels or the moons, y'all can comprehend the cycles and trends of the future, safely core electric energy or electricity, channel high frequency beings, receive and transmit messages, hold the truth about a person. I think this says predict election outcomes and read the minds of teenagers, communicate with the souls of waiting to be born souls, predict conceptions, like when people be born. So I have an actual story about this because I have Uranus and Neptune on my cat moon.
Oh, you
And
do?
yeah, and that's why I'm so like passionate when I see like moon Uranus or Neptune in Aquarius, because like what I've experienced is nothing short of supernatural. Like from a long time before I was ever into astrology, or even knew about it, I didn't even know that's what I was experiencing. So I know someone like you with it in Aquarius, you have these powers literally out of this world, like on a whole nother level. That's why I'm just so like, wow.
Yeah.
and then to have it in Pisces too, it's ridiculous. So like the story I have, once again, like way, but when I was in Christian school, in between Catholic school, I went to Catholic school all my life, and then I went to a Christian school before I went to public school. And in that Christian school was a boys and girls club. It wasn't even like a school. It was just like, it wasn't that much students in each grade, but we had to escort. I was in 7th grade. We had to escort the 3rd and 4th graders. So there was this younger kid named Michael, and we were cool. I was taking him to the bathroom. This was before I knew my left hand was receptive and my right hand was expressive. And like, I was just putting, my hand was on his head, and he's like, guess how much money I have in my wallet? And I heard, 21, 21, 21, 21, 21, 21. And I told him 21. And he gave me this look like, oh my God, like, how did you know? I didn't know. I read his mind because my left hand was on his head. And I tried, the best part is I tried to repeat it. I tried to read his mind again. And every time I tried, I couldn't get it because I was trying to force it. And it wasn't until later I realized this was Uranus on my moon that helped me do that. So like, I thought that was really amazing. Would you say you've had any experiences like that?
Oh yeah. Well, that made me think, isn't Uranus the higher octave of Mercury?
I believe so.
Because that would make sense, because then it's just like lightning receiving like messages but at a different speed than, because light Uranus is probably like the nervous system, and just think about how fast messages send in the nervous system.
From
You know what I mean?
neurons to like
Yeah.
other, that's a
So,
genius observation.
so it's like, it doesn't have to be as verbal as Gemini. It can be more nonverbal, which is why it can be telepathic.
Oh,
Because if you think
that's
about
true.
it, things within the nervous system of one body just go so quickly. But then it's also possible for that to happen in between two different people and two different nervous systems. And
Non-locally.
going off that, like the field of the heart, pretty sure everyone knows about like the electromagnetic field of the heart. That probably, connects to all of that.
That was very well said. And I love the whole analogy with the neurons and the telepathy. That makes a lot of sense. And it
Yeah.
makes sense why it's fixed too, adding stronger quality to it. So yeah, I mean, like that'll be very interesting with Jupiter and Saturn going through. I feel like you'll really step into a lot of the power. And I love how you mentioned Mercury being an octave of Uranus because you have Mercury on Chiron. So it's
Mhm.
like your moon connects with Mercury. And now let's get into the craniosacral because like
Okay.
knowing
This
you have
is
the, what was
tra-
that?
this is a great transition because
Yeah.
see my teeth. Okay. Mercury conjunct Chiron is like, I feel like that's a huge part of my work because so if anyone
It's
here,
next to your MC. I'm so sorry for interrupting, but I
yeah,
love how you say that, but and it's next to your MC of work. I
what,
mean, it's not on your MC, but it's the closest to it.
and it's my Mercury conjunct Chiron is in the ninth house, which makes sense why I guess at a young age I was probably the youngest. I was the youngest person in my cranio training, craniosacral. Most people were probably like 50 or
Oh
were
wow.
in their older 20s, but most people were like in their 40s or 50s. Um,
Although your soul might be older than all of them with the Akamoon, which is kind of interesting.
yeah. Let's see. Mercury conjunct Chiron. So Mercury is the hands and Chiron is the healer. I definitely, it's weird because I've always liked drawing hands, but this craniosacral work, and I'm really good at it for some reason. But this craniosacral work, it's heavily based on handwork, healing handwork. Um, but more than that, it's also based on the nervous system, and I think it's also relates to Scorpio and Mercury and Scorpio and Mercury and Chiron and Scorpio because it's so heavily rooted in trauma and how trauma gets stored in the body, and just kind of all those different parts, like how the history of your life and different really difficult things you go through get stored in your body, and then kind of how that those might affect like your brain, and um, it's like hard to describe the expanse of the work, but it can also have a part that's more ancestral, because when you're working with trauma in the body, you're not just working with one individual, but you're working with a bunch of things that might have come from their family. Like, say, alcoholism is passed down in a family line. You're working with intergenerational trauma. Um, Are you still with me?
Yeah. No, I'm just like astounded. I'm just taking it all in.
What does that can put into words? It's like so much. I almost choked on my. So much of the work is nonverbal in territory, which
Interesting.
is resonates with myself because I have such a big inner world seen by the 12th house. So much of the work is nonverbal in nature that it can be hard to put into words. But a lot of people who have sessions have never felt that way that they feel during the session before, because just think of how a massage can tune you into all the different parts of your physical body.
Yeah.
Cranial work can tune you into all the different parts of your nervous system that may have not been like touched for a long time,
Yeah.
and all the different parts of like, it also has to do with like the spine and the energy in the spine and the CSF, the cerebrospinal fluid, the fluid in the spine that goes all up into the brain. And it has to do with that first essence of light that happens in the embryo, that lights up in the embryo when you're born. Um, and it lights up. There's light before anything physical happens with the spine. Um, so yeah.
I'm on your website now looking at your mentorship
Yeah,
program.
yeah. My friend Safa and I we just started this,
That's
and
so beautiful. Awesome, actually. You I like the testimonial too from Kevin,
mhm.
and he's talking about he felt tingling sensations move up his spine and felt as though the hemispheres of his brain were being brought into harmony, which instantly made me realize like a lot of what you're doing is I love how you're and shout out to Asia. Asia said you're so smart and she does craniosacral therapy. And that's amazing. But I really feel like with Chiron in your chart and Uranus, it's kind of like also Reiki. Not really Reiki, but it's like I think you're also blessing people with your magic and juju and like also your own healing energy. But I love how you bring it into more of I don't want to say scientific, but like you break it
Physiological.
physiological. Perfect. It's not like just energy here. Like you break it
Yeah,
down into the physiological implications, which
yeah.
is beautiful.
I mean, there's a huge discussion in the community right now. They've worked so hard to like kind of cement that physiological part that a lot of people don't really want people to go into distance work. But I think it's been going. I just did an exchange with somebody like when the pandemic started, and I'd never done it before. And from there, like I was just like, okay, this works. It still works.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, distance work.
yeah, distance work.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that resonates with me and my lineage because my grandma is able to do kind of like shamanic journeys by drum and a lot of things that aren't just based on the physical body. Um, yeah.
Biodynamic craniosacral therapy,
Yeah.
BCST.
Yeah. So I did a 2 year kind of part time 700-hour training that I just ended last December.
2 years would mean you started 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
No, I started in, yes. Yeah. Wait.
2018, late 2019. Okay. 700-hour registered
I think I
biodynamic.
started in 2017.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
And so it takes your body, it's a healing modality that takes your body out the sympathetic nervous system state and into the parasympathetic state.
and
Okay.
and once you get there, it's like your body feels like it can go to this place where it's it's hard to describe, but it's like almost like an ancient place, like beyond all of the craziness and binaries of this world. It's definitely the kind I practice definitely has roots in Tibetan Buddhism and also Native American, like Shawnee and Cherokee bone setting.
And I love how there's so many people that can benefit: Alzheimer's, asthma, childbirth, depression. I mean, there's so much on this list. And one thing that you say is that there's minimal reliance on manipulations and that it's placed at the yin spectrum. Could you explain more the manipulation part?
Sure.
Sweet.
Well, usually the work is in person. Of course, I've tried to adapt it to continue to be of service during this time, but um, usually it's not like, okay, so there's another kind of craniosacral that's more based on manipulation. It's more yang, like you're supposed to apply forces. But this kind is more yin because you're more just like holding, but with you're also tuning into all the different like tissues and bones and fluids of the body. So that's why it's kind of related. It kind of came from osteopaths who developed it. Do you know what osteopathy is?
Osteoporosis, or I don't know if that's a sickness, but is osteo about bones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Osteopathy is kind of a profession in like the UK or Canada. Um, it's kind of just like a more functional doctor approach to the body, that has to do with like just seeing the different muscles and tissues of the body and how they're all connected to each other. So the reason why this is more holistic is because usually Western medicine is much more compartmentalized with even different parts of the body. And wait, does that make sense?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
And of course, like how, the modern field of psychology is. I think people come to somatic therapies like what I practice because talk therapy doesn't work for them, or Western physical medicine doesn't work for them.
But this seems to be a better alternative.
Yeah, because it's not. So I have a blood condition called hemophilia. So I've never really been into like more yang things like deep tissue massage or like acupuncture. But this is a very like it's a holding field, a very gentle holding field, but it's hard to describe how much can happen in a session. Um,
It seems very advanced because, like, to even be able to go out of body like that, which once again, Moon on Uranus is specializes in OBEs, which is very amazing. But and then also knowing that your sun squares your moon, like so, how do you feel like dealing with that dynamic helps with the work you do?
well, also my both of my sun and my moon are in water houses. Like my sun's in the eighth house and my moon's in the 12th house. I think those make me very compassionate, especially the 12th house moon. Um, and because of the eighth house sun, like I've obviously been through a certain extent of like, you know, um, nothing like serious, but just like, emotional pain. And I don't really fear going into like really difficult places emotionally, or, like I really feel a pull toward that, towards being in those places with other people,
Nice.
and with myself. So that's how I feel. And the eighth house is also, it's not just what's seen and what's tangible, but it's also things that you can't see but are there. You can sense them. Like, say, I feel like I've always
Like
been,
an electron?
huh?
I,
Well,
I,
more like other people's trauma. Like, sometimes
okay,
I
gotcha.
feel like I can sense people who are close to me and my family. Like, I feel like I can sense traumas that they've had, even if they haven't told me about
It's
them.
like a shared emotional space, that type of thing.
Well, more like just being in tune with the unseen dynamics
That makes sense.
of,
And like you don't see it, but you sense it. You sense what could be
yeah.
going on, even though it's not. That's awesome. That's what's up. So I mean, now that because that's the interesting thing about Saturn transiting a 12th house. It's like
Mhm.
it's closing out one life and getting you ready to start off the next cycle. So how would you feel now that you're getting ready to step into your 20s? What do you feel the potential with this therapy modality is, and what do you look forward to taking with it?
What was the
Where do you
last part of your question?
where do you look forward to taking it is what I meant to say.
Well, I'm I feel that this modality can help a lot of people. But of course, with my ninth house Mercury, like I love studying, and I've been wanting to do this other program called somatic experiencing. It's a training that like teaches you verbal skills to help people deal with their trauma. Um, and it's also like a somatic, which means like body based therapy. So I really see myself continuing to study the bridge of psychology and the body and trauma, um, and actively having a practice where I can apply my skills, um, my my talents.
Beautiful. And that'll be awesome to see once again. Like it's just rare to see um like Jupiter and Saturn coming together like they will. So I see that as a huge blessing for all, aqua risings, and all power to you. So let's actually step into the three questions game.
Okay.
Why not? And yeah, we could just take questions. We could just take turns asking each other questions about anything. You can start off. You can ask. I'll answer. I'll ask. You answer, and then we'll go two more rounds.
I do have a big question.
Awesome.
In terms of intergenerational trauma, where do you think you would look in somebody's chart, natal chart or otherwise, to kind of see that territory?
Great question. So intergenerational. Um, when we look, of course, at the outer planets, we can see generational trends of planets. So Saturn is more like the incarnation plane because Saturn is like 2.5 years, but the nodes change around like every 1.5 or so years. So Saturn is, you were born on the Saturn and Aries incarnation plane. Every kid that had Saturn and Aries incarnated on that plane, but some people had maybe North Node in
Virgo.
Virgo, while others had North Node in Leo. So the people who had North Node in Virgo got off the plane first. You stayed on the plane to the connecting flight to the North Node in Leo, deplaned, and then the Saturn and Taurus plane was the next plane. So the Saturn groups, that's generational in the sense where we grew up listening to the same music, the same trends. Like we're going to have the same culture in schools, Uranus and Neptune too. Like
Mhm.
the people who have the same Uranus and Neptune in their chart had the same conditioning and trends. So Pluto, I want to say, is the number one uh, generational planet to look at. You want to look at the whole chart because the whole chart, even down to the personal planets, will give you personal insight on how they deal with it. But I really think Pluto is going to let you know that generational group, which is about over a decade. This is going to let you know what blends and intertwines in and how different Plutos connect together. Ultimately, answer your question though is every single chart aspect because you want to look at it as a whole, especially if you're comparing different people's generations. But I feel like Pluto really is the go-to for how do you release yourself from, because your Pluto is a culmination of older Plutos, and your Pluto is influenced by how the previous Pluto generations had to go through what they went through.
Mhm.
So I would give it to definitely Pluto, one of those planets. I wish I could answer it more in depth because it's a very important question you ask
Mhm.
as far as like how to identify and deal with. We want to go with Pluto first because that'll let you know the unconscious influences that you can start to integrate and bridge. and then awaken from
That
there.
makes sense. I definitely resonate with that. I was thinking maybe also like Pluto nodal aspects or
Yeah, yeah.
or contacts.
I forgot to focus on nodal context too, but those are also very important. um, yeah,
Yeah.
the contexts are important. I think I have squares in mind, and
Yeah,
that
I have squares. I have Mercury square my nodes.
you do, yeah, Mercury and Chiron. So that's very. Oh, and someone said they use Chiron as well. Chiron is also a very good indicator.
Ooh, I could see that.
Yeah, as
My
far as
grandma has her Chiron conjunct my North Node.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um. Oh, hers is on your North Node, so she has
Yeah.
Chiron and Leo.
Leo, yeah.
Interesting.
And she's taught me a lot about healing.
So my next question to you, or my question for you, is, what has been your experience with um, spirits, forces, just kind of like with that extra dimensional
Okay.
portion of reality?
Um, well, my grandma, she works with we have you ever done a shamanic journey before with drumming?
During an ayahuasca ceremony, yeah,
Okay.
they played
Um,
drums and the
mhm.
didgeridoo, which was really awesome. I hope I said that right.
Didgeridoo. I don't know.
Didgeridoo, yeah.
I hope I said that too. Anyways, yeah, so she's guided me through some of those, and the purpose of those are to con- get in contact with the spirit world. So in that way, yes, I've had some craniosacral sessions where there's ancestral communication. Definitely not most. Mostly people who are doing a lot of work to help other people who would say that they're like a healer, you know. Um, and I've done my own shamanic journeys for myself. I definitely recently a cat that I was close to crossed over, and I've kind of been in communication with her.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, it's not usually it's not in a word like words messages that I receive. Well, it is in the session in cranial sessions, but usually it's just more of like an energy. Um, yeah.
That's what's up. How old was your cat?
Well, she wasn't my cat, but I was really close to her. She
Oh, okay. Cool, cool,
was
cool.
20.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're on round two.
Okay. Hmm. Okay. Do you secretly hate Pisces?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. um, honestly, nah. I do look up to Pisces. I've had horrible experiences with some Pisces people.
Everyone
Um,
has.
Right. Yeah. I know there's Geminis who make other Geminis look bad. So I just kind of treat it as, these Pisces are making the rest of the clan look bad because oh my God, these is like everything. But no, I don't. You could say I secretly love Pisces a little bit. I mean, I definitely got love for Pisces. I'd be making fun of them because I'm a little jealous, I think, at how effortlessly magical they can be. But that's a really good question. No, I don't secretly hate them. I can sometimes be ticked off when they do their psychic thing and like try and transcend duality or whatnot, while they can see my mind is still in duality. So
Yeah, I feel like
sometimes,
I am duality.
so Pisces will be trolling sometimes, and they'll like ask a question or say something that is outside of duality, and just to see my Gemini be like, wait, what? I don't know. It's hard to put into words.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't put anything to do with Pisces into words, but I hear you.
they bring me out my comfort zone. I'll say that. Every Pisces has always brought me very out my comfort zone. So
Yeah,
I
me.
s- yeah.
I don't even secretly love them. I openly love them. They're my favorites.
They're your favorite?
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Do you think it's the fifth house connection from Scorpio
Yeah.
to Pisces?
Yeah. And the since I have so much Aquarius, it's also just the last two sign connection.
Yeah, to me that's like grandpa, grandma. That's really awesome. OGs of the zodiac. My next question for you is, what do you sense, especially with your aqua energy, that I would say is the future? What do you think this next decade is looking like for us?
Okay, let me think. That's a big question. I'm gonna have to bring in my moon here.
Right.
Um, just in general, or in terms of anything, any specific arenas of
Just
life.
in just in general, if you pick up on any insights, like what do you feel are the trends or we could look forward to?
I feel like a lot of it is going to be about um, practices to actively restore the harm that's been done to both human bodies and minds and spirits.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the part I'm most in tune with. You know, of course, I hope that things in terms of the earth and the environment too. Um, hopefully, yeah, I don't know. I think that I have a lot of idealistic, hopes. Um,
Which is
let
fair.
let me see.
I think you said a lot too. It doesn't sound like
Generation are sorry to interrupt. A lot of people in
okay.
my generation are getting really tired of the educational system, the way
Yeah.
it's kind of BS. You know, it should definitely, obviously, should not be that expensive.
No, not
Uh,
at all. Not
with
at
such
all.
a crappy
The
job,
whole loan system
that's everything.
and the
But
turnaround.
so hopefully when Pluto goes into Aquarius, you would think that things will start to change around that. Obviously, people working online and having school online in this time is kind of bringing a new awareness to like what's actually possible to actually have lives outside of work and school. So I'm really hoping to see more of that. I wouldn't want to see any of my younger relatives be so um, what's the word? Just like enveloped in school and work to the point that it destroys their spirit if it's not something they're happy with. How there's such a constriction and rules that kind of can break people down. So hopefully we'll start to see some of that opening up. But I think there's also so much harm already done that there's going to have to be a lot of restorative practices. Yeah.
Very true. So between that and education, I think you covered a lot, actually. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, I think this decade is going to see the hugest educational system changes
Yeah,
ever.
it's in Sag right now too.
Yeah,
I think
very true. What did you say was in Sag? Oh,
uh,
the South Node.
yeah,
Yes,
recently.
very true.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful. Um, oh, we are on the last round. That was
Okay,
so fast.
my turn.
Yep.
Mm, okay, this is a good question. Do you use planetwatcher.com?
Every day religiously.
Me too. I wish I could have just like a digital printout on your wall or on your shirt. That'd be cool.
Actually, I went to Patreon and I'm supporting the guy who makes it. He's making like a different Web 2.0, and he sent me a calendar, a Planet Watcher calendar
Do
for
you have
2020. Yeah, hold on, let me get it. It's actually pretty awesome.
it? Okay.
His name is Matt Kahn, I believe. No, not Matt Kahn, but I think. But yeah, he's super humble, super chill, really awesome. This is actually 2019. This is
2020. I love the colors. That's
I
awesome.
think I think he's in the process of making like a new version of it, of the website. It'll be interesting to see what he does, or how he does it rather.
Mhm.
But yeah, my bad. What was the question?
I have a question, but I also just thought about something that I had an epiphany about. Should I share it? Even though it's not.
Please go ahead.
I was thinking about how Saturn and at 29 degrees in my second house has made a lot of tangible parts of my being and like the world, really, like the body of my individual and collective, but more individual, like just feel really different from how things really feel, like, which is the eighth house, I guess. And a lot of sun in the eighth house probably feel like this, but just kind of having that disconnection from your body, I think, is a big reason why I got into like mind body connection work. Because it's like really uncomfortable, and Saturn, you have a huge challenges with like second house, like the body of like what is so literally there, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It seems like your 10th house is 8th house themed.
because Pluto's conjunct the MC.
Oh yeah, and Sagittarius. That too. That makes sense too. That's beautiful. And yeah, no, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely gonna look at Saturn in the second a bit different now
Yeah.
concerning that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the question, have you ever, okay, so I did this recently. Have you ever gone on to Planet Watcher and been like, okay, I'm going to this date 10 years from now, then 20, then 30, then like all the way up to like when you're like 90 or 100, and been like, these are the transits that I'm going to be going through?
I know if you look up the date for the end of this year, it's like totally blank. Like there's a 2 week span where there's like nothing, or a week. But
Really?
yeah. Um and yeah, I actually did that, like what you asked, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Really? Me too. Oh my God, that's so creepy.
I was looking at like 2023 and in 2024, 5, and then I just looked outwards like 50, 60 years, and I was just like, holy shit, like, oh my God, like, oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, if that was a movie, the title would be Becoming Your Own Ancestor.
That's actually super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually super
How
dope.
did you feel when you undertook this process?
Nice. And by the way, I think the Planet Watchers guy's name is Kirk Khan. I don't know if it's Matt Khan, but something Khan for sure. Other than that, that was actually a really great question.
Thanks. How did
Some of
how did you feel when you undertook this process? Did you feel different after you were done?
Yeah, it gave me it gave see, if I did it before, I may not have understood, but like now that I understand interpretations better a bit, it actually made me feel more peaceful. It gave me a lot to look forward to, actually. And just seeing how crazier the transits get,
Yeah.
I was actually looking forward to it. Like, oh, I can't wait till Uranus is on my sun. I can't wait till all this conjunction Cancer. So it's like, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's one thing that kind of concerned me, because I saw that I think the creator of Planet Watcher is into the Ophiuchus, or
I was like,
the
oh no,
flat. Yeah, I was like, no, but it is what it is.
talk with him.
I don't think.
Bring him on
What
a,
was that?
you should bring him on a peace talk and convert him.
Yeah, actually, I should, and I should do that. And he'd totally be down. I remember he was really positive about the Patreon donation too. He seemed really awesome. So thank you. I'm actually gonna hit him up, because that would be an awesome peace talk, and we could see what he feels about that. But my final question for you is, um, what is I'm gonna do the classic question, hot seat question. What are your 3 favorite zodiac signs, and then the 3 that give you the most challenge? We know Pisces is one of them.
Pisces is my first favorite. Scorpio is also a favorite, and Aquarius.
Oh, nice.
I just feel
Okay.
like my
Yeah.
sign, but
That's what's
I just
up, though.
I just feel like they're huge powerhouses. They're really here for a reason during this time.
Mm.
Scorpio to dig into the dirt of what's already been done, and Aquarius to really be an outcast and get attacked, but also do things that are necessary.
Y'all do be getting attacked.
We do be.
Oh, yeah.
um,
Make sure that's clear. Like, that's
yeah,
the truth.
it recently was because I was trying to clarify. Craniosacral is such a white field. Most of the people in my class were white, and I was trying to clarify the Native American roots of the work, coming from bone setting in Shawnee and Cherokee healing practices. And yeah, I got attacked verbally on Facebook.
Wow. Just for telling the truth. That's crazy.
Then
But
shut
I mean,
down, so
that's the air sign way. We stay getting hated for telling the truth. It is. It is.
yeah, but then I shut them down with my Mercury.
There we go. There we go. That's what's up.
It was fun.
I love how you said that too. Like, I just shut them down. No, they didn't have. They stood no chance.
Yeah,
But
they really didn't. They got shut down. And hopefully that'll just be a microcosm of what's to come.
right. Yeah. I mean, you're clearly destined and will do amazing things. So, very honored once again to have you on the Peace Talk. Thank you. You're totally welcome to come back too if we want to.
Yeah, honestly, I have so many questions and thoughts about astrology. Like I've really been studying it obsessively since I was probably 15. So that's like 7 years, 6 or 7 years. Like I have so many more things I want to talk about.
Yeah, and we totally will. So, thank you once again.
Let me just finish with the three signs I don't like. That's
Oh, true.
um, Libra, um,
Got him.
Libra. Oh, this is hard.
You could say Gemini. It's okay.
Libra. No, I actually have been learning to love Gemini.
Word. Not a lot of people learn to love us.
Libra, Gemini, and Capricorn.
you
Because
said you can still have number two though.
yeah, I'm not gonna hold you back.
Oh my god.
Libra, Gemini, and Capricorn, because that's all those energies represent all that's wrong with the world right now in a way. If we're looking at the bad side of those signs,
That's true. Yeah.
duality.
Injustice, lack of integrity, and lies. That's so true.
Yeah,
That's so true.
Capricorn being like the old white, like farts, that rule everything. And then Libra, I think I was talking to my friend about this. It's so interesting. Like, I feel like Libra is so distorted because it's all like Hollywood and, America is all about how you look. But how do you feel? That's way more important. That's part of
Yeah.
that's present in the world. Like, so people are so focused on their appearance and beauty that they don't even
It's all vanity.
think about
Right.
makeup is literally, toxins. So
that's true, right? Like you're putting toxins on your face and it can like block certain things. Okay.
Of course there's, natural ones, but just the general concept of beauty is so distorted,
It is.
and women, and it's just really ruins a lot of things.
Yeah.
In terms of relationships and family dynamics and motherhood and all that stuff. And then Gemini, Gemini is obviously just the media, how there's only 6 sources that control all of media.
Yeah. Well, I kind of see Pisces as media too. Some people say Pisces and Neptune is like broadcast, but you're still right because Gemini is communicating that.
Right. But Pisces is behind the scenes pulling the strings.
Yeah.
But then they come out and they give you a kiss on the cheek and Gemini's just on the screen. So that's why I still am loyal to.
I mean, honestly, even though Pisces is behind the scenes pulling the strings, I feel like they're being forced to do that. So it's not really Pisces' fault anyway. It's like,
who are they being forced by?
Capricorn. the powers that be, Capricorn and Aquarius. Well, I don't see I don't see Aquarius as the bad thing. I just see Aquarius as being used for bad. Like if people use knowledge for bad purposes, but that doesn't make knowledge bad, right?
Aquarius being used for bad things is like all the wrong conspiracy theories that lead to nothing.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Or just extreme detachment and becoming a supervillain because you hate
Yeah.
humanity.
Or just being trifling for no reason. Use your triflingness to actually help things. Don't be trifling just to be trifling.
I
That's
used to think,
why Aquarius suns really need some
yeah.
rehabilitation by Aquarius moons.
Oh yeah. I used to think Gemini was a trickster, but apparently it's Aquarius that's a trickster, and that actually makes a lot of sense.
Well, Aquarius suns, some of y'all really
Shots fired.
but that wasn't the suns. That wasn't specifically aimed at the suns.
True. That's interesting. I've never heard that. And Libra as a villain, haha, I embrace this. Yeah, like I kind of see Libra.
Of course you do. You embrace everything.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, that was what Krista Hayes said, the comment. But I do embrace everything. I'm here for it too. I tell you, I kind of like that Aries Libra dynamic. Like Aries is the villain, but Libra is really the villain. If you know, like Libra is the hero, but like some versions of Libra are like the villain hero, and
Yeah.
then Aries is
Secretly.
right, and then you find out at the end Aries was the hero all along, but because they don't care about the rules, they look like the villain. So it's kind of interesting.
Exactly.
So
Libra
amazing.
cares so much about their appearance that they're not gonna give up their.
And I've noticed that with Libra too. Like that's like obviously not every Libra is like superficial, but even if they're not, like even the most down to earth, they're having to grapple with the importance of image and like what they're conditioned to believe versus what they want to purport. And like you nailed it. Like that whole image thing is been distorted.
Yeah, the whole Hollywood. My friend said that Hollywood is ruled by Libra, which I mean it makes sense. It's just a bunch of the same like pretty faces or whatever. But pretty is really just the construct that has been
Social norms, constructs.
the same the same people being in this same movies that are just boring. Like watch a Japanese movie.
Seriously, yeah, switch it up. Get
Yeah.
some diversity.
Mhm.
Well, thank you once again for joining. This was an awesome talk. Thank you guys in the live chat for tuning in.
I have to rewatch this and look at the live chat and see what people said.
Yeah, they loved you. There was amazing glowing comments. It was actually really awesome. So
In Pisces in the first house, people just love me. Or they hate me. No, they don't hate me. But okay, anyways.
anyone who hates you is nobody. We'll say that. Bam.
They don't hate me. They're just scared of all my Pluto and Scorpio parts.
Astro Phoenix, you nailed that. That was actually very beautiful. Someone said Aries is the main character of an anime that is overpowered. Libra is the refined, experienced character that gets exposed, becomes jealous, and eventually helps the main character.
Yes. We need to do some. I think I think the next Peace Talk should start with some anime impressions from you.
Right. That's actually dope.
Yeah.
We can break down.
Anybody watching this, you should watch Terrace House. It's so good.
Terrace House?
Yeah, it's this Japanese show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it live action?
No, it's about like six strangers who are all given like a house and they all have to live in it and they're supposed to find love and like continues over like a whole year and it shows like daily life.
Oh, this is gonna be
Just
good.
like seeing the subtle like Japanese communication, like they care so much about like politeness and like cleanliness and like work ethic. It's just so fun seeing like all those parts of like a different culture, the norms.
That's collectivist based, right? Instead of individual.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I gotta
Maybe that's
visit
why I
you.
like it so much.
Well, you guys stay blessed as always. We're going to close out this talk. Thank you so much once again, Ty. I got your website, your email, and your Instagram in the description box below. Do you have any final words of advice or anything you want to say for anyone?
Stay blessed. I don't know.
And that was Tara, like Tara.
Huh?
How is it Tara's house? How did you spell it?
Terrace.
Oh, Terrace House.
RRACE house.
Perfect. All right, you heard her, everyone. Stay blessed. Okay, that's what we do out here.
Respect your fellow Scorpios. That's what I have to say.
All right, and until next time, peace out. Woo woo.